For some reason, I had a funny feeling that this interview done by George Stephanopoulos to the potato wasn't on the up and up, and this basically confirms it.
Things that make you go,
During that interview, the potato seemed a little, I say, cognizant. Well, this goes to show you that with cool editing tools that even I own, you can edit out anything. You can make certain jump cuts seem seamless. And that's what they did here. So, the transcript was released by the Daily Wire. And the dark, bold text here, what you see right now, is what they cut out. In this particular instance, part 1 says, let's get right back to it. They cut that out for time, probably. So Biden, I think they cut out. And it goes through the text. They cut out this last part. The idea that Tal, and then it goes further on. Even as late as August, I think you're going to see the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and others speaking about this later today. Okay, they probably removed that because of time and didn't really add anything. However, this second part they cut out completely. There we go. I think a lot of Americans, and even a lot of veterans who served in Afghanistan agree with you on a big strategic picture. They believe we had to get out, but I wonder how you respond to an Army Special Forces Javier McKay. He did 7 tours. He was shot twice. He agrees with you. He says, we have to cut our losses in Afghanistan, but he adds, I just wish we could have left with honor. Now here's this Biden's response. Look, fat. No, yeah, that. Anyways, look, that's like asking my deceased son, Bo, who spent 6 months in Kosovo and a year in Iraq as a Navy captain and then as an Army major. And I'm sure he had regrets coming out of out of Iraq. He had regrets to how it's going. But the idea, what's the alternative? The alternative is why we are staying in Afghanistan. Why are we there? Do you think that the one, who's most disappointed in us getting out, Russia and China, they love to see us continue to and they cut off it there. Folks out there in Lazaland, does that sound like someone who's with it? Does that sound like someone whose mental faculties are 100%? Say what you want about Trump, but when he spoke, not very often did he use a teleprompter. He spoke, sometimes stupidly in some cases, but for the most part, when he spoke, you knew that those ideas were his own. He was making those ideas. Maybe perhaps he got briefed on what to say. Maybe he had some notes. What is this? This is someone who's mentally addled. There's something wrong with him. This just proves it right there. All right, this is from George Stephanopoulos' comment. So for you, that was always a price into the decision. And they cut out this part here. What are they doing now? They're cooperating, talking about the Taliban, letting American citizens get out. Really? American personnel to get out, embassies get out, etc. But we're having some more difficulty in having those who helped us when we were in there. And then Stephanopoulos goes, and we don't really know what's going on outside of Kabul. Pardon me? We don't know what's going on outside of Kabul. Well, we do know generically and in some specificity what's happening outside of Kabul. We don't know it in great detail, but we do know. What the fuck is he saying? And guess what? The Taliban knows if they take an American citizens or American military, we will strike them back like hell. Won't have it. What? Does this sound like someone who's mentally there? Does it? Tell me. I want to know out there. Post in the comments. Leave a like. Leave a dislike. Whatever. Subscribe to the channel. But tell me, does this sound like someone who's there in their mind? Someone who's has their own thoughts, who actually was briefed properly for this interview and said this. This is the response after they've been briefed properly and they responded like this. The guy's a moron. The guy's addled. The guy's his adrenochrome is wearing out. And then Stephanopoulos goes, how about the Afghan allies? We have, and this is the part to cut out. We have about 80,000 people. Well, that's not is that too high? That's too high. How many? The estimate we're given is somewhere between 50 and 65,000 folks total, counting their families. What? Okay, the high number there, 65,000, but the number they talk about, 80,000, oh, that's too high. Well, regardless, why don't you just answer the question? And he goes on to continue. You talked about your adversaries, China and Russia. You already see China telling Taiwan, see, you can't count on the Americans. And here comes Biden's response, and this is not in part of the interview. Why wouldn't China say that? Look, George, the idea that there's a fundamental difference between Taiwan and South Korea, NATO. We are in a situation where they are in entities we've made agreements with based on not a civil war. They're having it on an island or South Korea. But an agreement where we have a unity government that, in fact, is trying to keep bad guys from doing bad things to them. We have kept every commitment. We've made a sacred commitment to Article 5 that is, in fact, anyone were to invade or take action against our NATO allies. So let me stop there. Ukraine's a NATO ally. What happened? Russia took Crimea. Yeah, you see, Article 5 is only enforceable as much as Article 5 can be enforced. We would respond. Same with Japan, same with South Korea, same with Taiwan. It's not even comparable to talk about that. Yeah, it is. It's completely comparable. But you're rambling. I don't know what the fuck he said. I think I know what he said. And Stepanov goes, yeah, but it's not comparable to who say? Look, America can't be trusted now. America doesn't keep its promises. Who's going to say that? Look, before I made the decision, I met with all our allies, our NATO allies in Europe. They agreed we should be getting out. Did they have a choice? Sure, they had a choice. Look, the one thing I promised you in private. Oh. In private. Let me read that again, because that seems significant to this. Sure, they had a choice. Look, the one thing I promised you in private. Oh. So, Stephanopoulos and Biden talked privately before this interview. I wonder what was said. Continuing on, NATO allies are not quiet. You remember from our old days, they're not going to be quiet. And by the way, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting together a group of the G7, the folks that we work with the most. I was on the phone with Angela Merkel today. I was on the phone with the British Prime Minister. I'm going to be talking to Macron in France to make sure we have a coherent view of how we're going to deal with this point on. What the hell is he saying? I have no idea what he's saying. What strikes me even more concerning is that he's having private conversations with George Stephanopoulos about the interview or whatever. That's concerning to me. And then it goes on, and one of the questions is, are you confident we're going to have that in Afghanistan? It says, this was cut out. Look, George, it's like asking me, am I confident that people are going to act even remotely irrational? Here's the deal. And then it continues. My dad used to have an expression, George, if everything's equally important to you, nothing's important to you. And then, what's going around the world in the Middle East, North Africa? I mean, excuse me, yeah. He's talking about the exit. He goes, I ask you, you want me to stay? You want us to stay and send our kids back to Afghanistan? How about it? Are you good? If you had a son or daughter, would you send them to Afghanistan now or later? And then Stephanopoulos goes, would it be hard? But a lot of families have done it. They've done it because, in fact, there was a circumstance that was different when we started. When we were there for two reasons, George. And we accomplished it both 10 years ago. We got Osama bin Laden. As I said, we got criticized for saying that at the time. You're going to follow him to the gates of hell. Hell, we did. Yeah. But here's the thing. With that there, Joe, you didn't want to kill Osama bin Laden, even though we knew where he was. You voted, or you voiced concern, and you didn't want to go get him. That's the truth. He says, how will history judge the United States' experience in Afghanistan? One that we overextended what we need to do to deal with our national interest. That's like saying they, be the border of Tajikistan and other. What does it matter? Are we going to go to war because of what's going on in Tajikistan? What do you think? I don't know what's going on in Tajikistan. That's not the point. That's not why is he talking about that? Tell me what? We're We're in that isolated country that has never in all of history been united. All the way back to Alexander the Great, straight through the British Empire and the Russians. What is the idea? Are we going to continue to lose thousands of Americans to injury and death to try to unite that country? What do you think? I think not. I think the American people are with me. And when you unite that country, what do you have? They are surrounded by Russians in the north, and that stands in the north. You have to the west Iran, you have to south Pakistan, who's supporting them, and actually the east, they have Pakistan and China. Tell me, is it worth our national interest to continue to spend another $1 trillion and lose thousands more lives for what? Let me get this straight. I'm going to end it here. This potato is saying that I wanted to get out. No, I guarantee you that if Trump didn't put this deal in to get out, we'd still be there. We would still be there. Guarantee it. If Hillary Clinton, oh, God help me if that ever happened, but thankfully it didn't. Unfortunately, we got this fucking potato. But you really think that Hillary Clinton would have got us out if she was still president? No, she wouldn't. We'd still be there. And in fact, I honestly believe with 100% of my being that this son of a bitch right here would have kept us in Afghanistan still to this day if Trump didn't put that, said we're getting out. But Trump had a plan, and Biden obviously didn't. And this interview goes to show you that if you voted for Biden, you're an idiot. But if you think this guy is mentally there, his faculties are 100% there, you're insane. This goes to show you that the potato, he's in fact a fucking potato.